Hi, this is Kevin at the Virtual Planetarium at Raritan Valley Community College. Welcome to our weekly Star Talk. Today we're going to be talking about daylight savings, the what, the why, and the when. But before we do that, let's talk about our upcoming moon phases. We have first quarter moon on November 11th, we have full moon on November 19th, and then we have a last quarter moon on November 27th. That full moon of November 19th is actually going to be a lunar eclipse. It's going to be a partial eclipse, but it's going to be a partial umbral eclipse. And that means that we're going to get to see the moon disappear and turn partially red. An umbral eclipse means that the moon is going to be going through the darkest part of the Earth's shadow. And that means that we'll see the moon actually disappear in the sky, and then we'll see it turn reddish when it gets to the highest point of the eclipse, when it gets to the peak. Now here we have a page with information about that. I'm going to put the link for this in the description of this video. This is a website called Time and Date, and it has a lot of great information about eclipses. And this one right here is only not a total eclipse by this little bit right here. So it's only barely, just barely not a total lunar eclipse. So it'll definitely be a cool sight to see. Now the good thing about lunar eclipses is that you don't need any special equipment to see them. You just need patience and clear skies. And this is going to be a pretty slow event. It's going to happen very early in the morning. It's not very convenient timing. The moon is going to start going into the Earth's darker shadow, the umbra, at 2:20 in the morning. And then it's going to keep disappearing and disappearing until it starts turning reddish when it gets to the peak at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then after that, it's going to keep moving out of the Earth's shadow until it's completely out of the Earth's umbra at like 5:45 in the morning. So again, it's really early in the morning. If you're up at all sorts of crazy hours, you should definitely try to check this out. If you want to set an alarm for it, you can do that too. If you do set an alarm, I suggest setting it for around 4 o'clock in the morning because that peak right there is what you want to see. But if you miss this, don't worry. There's actually going to be another eclipse on May 15th, and this one is going to be a total lunar eclipse. And it's going to be at a more reasonable hour. It's going to be at around midnight, and the total eclipse is going to happen at 12:15 at midnight. So this is going to be a very good eclipse to see, but it's going to be in May. So if you want to watch one soon, you could stay up on the 19th until 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, now we're going to talk about daylight savings. What is it? Well, daylight savings is the practice of moving our clocks forward in the summer so that the sunlight is better aligned with our waking hours. And the idea is to preserve energy, or the idea was to preserve energy. So we move our clocks forward in the spring, and then we move them back in the fall. The date to move them back was actually today, Sunday, November 7th. We forgot to talk about this on last week, in last week's video. So if you didn't change your clock, we're sorry. You should change your clock. Most clocks do it automatically anyway, so you probably didn't have to change your clocks. But there's one or two that it's gonna be they're gonna be off for a few days until you realize, hey, I never changed this clock. Now you might be wondering if there is a connection between daylight savings and astronomy, and the answer is no. There's really no connection. The only connection is, I guess, that since the sun is setting earlier, we get to see the stars a little bit sooner. So now the sun is setting at actually I guess it's setting at around 5 o'clock. Before 5 o'clock actually, so it's going to start getting dark at around 6 o'clock at night, so we're going to be able to see the stars come out sooner, and not just the stars, but we're going to be able to see planets come out sooner, like Venus over here. Here we have Venus and the moon in tonight's sky. It's going to be a very thin crescent moon that's going to be very close to Venus, so that's going to be a very cool sight to see. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Hope you learned something new. You should definitely try to catch the lunar eclipse if you're up at all sorts of crazy hours. If not, again, we're going to have another one at a more reasonable hour in May. But it's still a very nice sight to see, to be able to see that red moon and see the moon disappear inside of the Earth's shadow and then turn red when it gets inside of that darker shadow of the Earth. Thanks again for joining us, and hope you have a great week.